Minister, I'm hugely concerned about the very worrying shortage of staff working within disability services, particularly within children's disability services, where the Progressing Disability Services model saw the establishment of 91 children's disability network teams, but they have a vacancy rate of an average of 28% across all teams, which amounts to over 700 vacancies, and some teams having a vacancy rate of 33%. Now, so there's a need in particular for occupational therapists, physiotherapists, speech and language therapists and psychologists. And I look at the number of students who are undertaking these courses, I am very worried because there are insufficient numbers to meet demand. According to a recent workforce census of Children's Disability Network teams carried out by the HSE, there is a shortage of 122 OTs. However, according to figures supplied to me by the Department of Further and Higher Education, there were only 126 students undertaking this course in 2020, which was the most recent figure the recent year where figures were available. Now, speech and language therapy is very similar. It's been identified that there's 117 vacancies within the teams, with only 119 undertaking the course. And these are only the shortages in the 91 Children's Disability Network teams. That's not taking into account other areas of healthcare and education which will be competing with one another to recruit these students when they graduate. So primary care will be looking to recruit students, as will the education sector, as we hopefully see the rollout of the social inclusion model currently being piloted. So I'm just wondering, Minister, have you plans to address these extreme shortages? I'm sure you, like all the rest of us, are hearing from your constituents about the devastating effect that the lack of services in the CNTTs are having on children with additional needs and their families. And there needs to be a plan to increase drastically the numbers undertaking these courses, and work needs to be done not only with those already in third level, but with those in second level education currently, to encourage the take-up of these courses in university. Now, according to a head who worked to create inclusive environments in education and employment for people with disabilities, there were 15,846 students registered with disability support services for the academic year of 2019 and 2020, which represented 6.3% of the total student population. Now, that is very low as a percentage compared to the percentage of people in the state with a disability, which is 13.5%. So it needs to be addressed, because at 26.2%, Ireland is one of the lowest employment rates in the European Union for people with disabilities. And if we genuinely want to address this, then students are going to need to be encouraged to pursue further study. And this employment rate is not great encouragement. Therefore, all reasonable accommodations must be put in place to assist students to participate fully in third level. So there must be flexibility around course time, how courses are delivered in terms of blended or online options, and if a student requires additional time to complete a course, then that should be facilitated also. Lecture content and study materials should always be available in a format that is accessible to all students. So education, including third level, must incorporate universal design for learning principles to guide institutions in making education accessible for all and ensured shared educational campuses. Training should also be provided to all academic and higher education staff on their legal obligations to students with disabilities, as some students have been made to feel uncomfortable when highlighting their needs and rights in this area. Advances in technology have had a huge impact on the lives of people with disabilities, and as much as possible must be done to ensure that disabled students in Ireland have access to the vast range of technological solutions that now exist to support the lives of disabled people. And students shouldn't have to fight for every support they require. Provision for all students, irrespective of need, should be available. We know from numerous and varied research that disabled people are more likely to struggle with financial hardship, and access to the required finances should never be a barrier to a disabled person accessing their right to an education. So it's vital, therefore, that the HERE and the DARE schemes are funded adequately to support students throughout their academic and social lives in college. There remains a huge demand for publicly funded diagnostic services for students who cannot avail of disability supports without an official diagnosis, but cannot afford to access the current private diagnostic services. There must be increased support for mental health resources in institutions for students who need this support because of disability. And finally, it's vital that students with disabilities and their representatives are involved at every step of these conversations. Thank you.